It's Trench Talk for your weekly dose of metal and heavy music. I'm your host, Flight of Icarus from MetalTrenches.com. As always, if you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like. So this week I went to see ENSIFERUM with Septicflesh and Arsis at the Hawthorne Theater, and while I was there I had the great pleasure of interviewing Sami, who plays bass for ENSIFERUM. We covered a wide range of topics from album production to his side job as a substitute kindergarten teacher. Since this took place at the venue, there is quite a bit of background noise, and at one point we actually had to transition from the green room to the bar area because the band started playing. You'll know it when you hear it. In any case, Sami seems like a really chill, down-to-earth dude, and I had a great time talking with him, so I hope you enjoy it. The YouTube version will also have some video clips and pictures from the show.
Yeah, howdy ho folks, this is Sami from ENSIFERUM.
How's the tour going?
It's fucking fantastic, you know? It's a really good package. It's really, you know, in a good way, it's really mellow tour so far. I mean, band-wise, all the bands been around for a long time, so everything works very well. There's a lot of people every night. People are really into every band, so it's been, I dare to say, one of the best North American tour we ever done.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you had any favorite openers at any of the different cities? I heard today you've got some group that has like bagpipes or something. Like
yeah, I just heard because I didn't see their sound check. But to be totally honest, I haven't seen. Actually, I haven't even seen this full show from Arsis or Septicflesh yet.
Really? Oh
yeah.
Man, so you've been busy.
Yeah. So I really hope I would have much more time to actually see the shows and see the local bands, because that's like there's just this one show from this band.
Right.
Like, hear their music, and shame on me. But it's been in a way it's quite hectic because I'm the one who's doing most of the interviews also.
Yeah. Well, so it's my fault.
no worries, no worries. Well, they're not playing yet. I just started warming up.
Thankfully. So give me a day in the life in terms of like, you know, you get to the location and you know what does it look like once you get there? Because it sounds like you're super busy. You don't even have time to like watch the other bands. What besides interviews, like what else are you?
The funny thing is that on tour you actually have shitloads of time. But the thing is that you have certain things you need to do that kind of prevents you from. A good example is that we played like a dozen times in New York. I've never seen the Statue of Liberty, for example.
Yeah, I've heard this before too. Yeah. It's interesting.
So you kind of have some time to kill, but there's never enough to actually do this or that, like touristic stuff. But personally, nowadays I don't drink that much on tours anymore. You know, we're not 18 anymore, and and actually it's more about the fact that people are actually paying to see our show, and I would never forgive myself if I would only give like 50% because of hangover or being way too drunk. You know, been there, done that.
Yeah.
You know, we were young.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's also like a kind of professional pride that you want to give people a good show, and especially that people who come to folk metal shows, they are really into it. It's there's a lot of interaction. It's very intimate. There's a lot of mosh pits and crowd surfing, and they're really. It's like what would be the word? Well, interaction. You know, they're really part of the evening. It's not just people standing and band playing. It's all a lot about the communication, and that's. I don't want to sound too hippish, but kind of energy goes back and forth.
No, I hear you. I know what you're talking about.
But because of that, I usually wake up actually quite early. Then in the States, in North America, the distances are so vast. Usually, you're not there when you wake up. In Europe, it's different. You might just have like 100 miles to the next venue, so it's different. But usually I just check my emails and that. And when we get the venue, I'm gonna spoil the illusion of a rock and roll star. But I actually started doing yoga like fucking 10 years ago.
Hey man, fucking, especially you're in Portland right now. Everybody does yoga.
Yeah, but it's actually because touring life involves so much, sitting around, lying on your bed, and then you should be going crazy on stage, and like it's very physical also for us. So you really need to take care of your body. Because even though I just turned 40 last year, I still want to keep doing this another 40 years.
Yeah, and people do it.
Yeah.
You know, that brings up an interesting question too that I was asking people on our Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, we've got these huge figures like, you know, Ozzy Osbourne and Lemmy, people who like when they're in their 70s, they're still like legends and people know them by name. And I was asking people like, who do you think are the new musicians that are maybe have only been around now like 10 years, 20 years, who are going to be remembered the same way? Like, if any, like, because I wonder, like, because there's so many bands now, are there going to be those big name people that when they're like 75 and still doing shows that people are like, yeah, these are like the kings of metal?
I'm sure there will be. And, well, one person I'm very sure is Johan Hägg from Amon Amarth.
Yeah.
Because I saw Johan has been he got into sports nowadays. And, yeah. Fantastic guys, you know, we toured with them, and it's been really awesome because we supported them 2008 when Twilight of Thundergod came out. So I think we even played here then.
Maybe,
with them.
It's a great venue.
Yeah,
I like this
so
place.
it's awesome to see, you know, because the guys have delivered great albums, great tours, as well, and see how it's grown. But yeah, I'm sure, for example, they'll be around.
Anyone else? Any other names that come to mind? I had a bunch of people said Mike Ackerfeld from Opeth.
Yeah. Well, one that came to mind, like Danny Phil from Cradle of Filth. You know, there's certain guys who are
those
already
larger than life kind of
they're already kind of legends.
I'm scared to see what Danny Filth is like when he's like 75. I don't know what that's gonna be like.
Yeah, true English. A couple of years ago, our guitar player, no names mentioned here, we were playing Wacken and we got totally shit-faced, and for some reason he thought it was a good idea to get totally naked in the backstage of Wacken. And he wanted to take, selfies with all the artists, and Amorphis guys, they were just fucking laughing. But Danny Field, he was not into it. A drunken Finnish guy with a beer belly and a wiener.
He wasn't, okay, so he wasn't down with that. Any other funny stories like that, either from this tour or from past years?
This tour, like I said, it's been very mellow, and I really like it. I personally like this tour. We only had... Oh, shit.
Well...
Yeah, actually, I was planning first to go to... Not to do with music, but when I was younger, I was really planning to go for like youth work, and I went for a school, kind of jack of all trades school, from social and healthcare. So you had like internship in the different fields, and there was an internship in the kindergarten. I was like, what the fuck I'm gonna do there? But after the first week, I was like, fuck, this is cool. And then I started understanding the big picture of that. You know, it makes it possible for all, moms also to go to work, and so it's better for society. And I was like, actually, this is work that's a lot of meaning, and that was my thing. But then I studied a bit more. And I'm a kindergarten teacher, but not that I have that much time to do it. I do like substitute days, like 1 or 2 days every now and then, which is really cool to do something totally different than music business. But now I'm getting carried away from the touring life.
It's good though. I mean, like, my field is all about like helping people understand how important it is to invest in kids.
Absolutely.
Like, there's that Frederick Douglass quote where it's like, it's easier to build healthy children than to fix broken men or something like that. And it's so true. That's cool though. So how often, like you said, you don't get to do it very much, but how often?
Well, I try to do it every month. Like, now we have this North America tour, then we do 7,000 Tons Metal Cruise, and then we have 3 shows in Mexico. Then we'll be home like 2 weeks before we go to Australia. So during these 2 weeks, I try to do a couple days just to to do something totally else.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it works. I've been doing that for a long time, like over 10 years.
Do the kids know like about the band and stuff? Or?
The thing is that I don't have any regular place. I go wherever people are sick or I've literally been in hundreds of kindergartens during my career, which is also really cool because then you get to see different areas, like very wealthy, very poor, and you get to work with very different people. But yeah, now we're really getting carried away.
No, that's fine. Like, this fascinates me because, like, I'm definitely the only person in my workplace that listens to this kind of music.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to meet other people who play and listen to metal that are also, you know, doing kind of social work.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're a teacher, but I still include that in that same kind of...
Yeah. Well, if you think about kids under 7, because at 7 they already go to school at 7. So there's also kind of taking care of them. It's not just teaching. But yeah, I usually have my guitar with me, like acoustic guitar. Yeah, I know shitloads of children's songs in Finnish. And yeah, in some places if I stay longer, or I become like a regular substitute, then the parents or the colleagues and kids, you know. I remember once there was a little boy, I guess he was like 4 or 5, like 5 I guess, and he and his dad went to YouTube and checked what kind of music, you know, Uncle Sami do with his friends. And the boy came next day, he was very serious, like, I didn't like it. I was like, okay, it's okay.
So I'm trying to remember what we were talking about before we changed locations here. What were we talking
We're talking about touring and...
You're talking about you like how
the legends who become legends.
Yes! Okay. I think about it because, you know, back then, it was like there were only a handful of bands, really, and like you only could buy their records. There wasn't Spotify, there wasn't Bandcamp, there wasn't YouTube, and now the whole landscape of that has changed. And
absolutely.
There's just so much that I just wonder, like, will that even happen? Like, I agree with you, there probably will be some people that like rise to that level, but I'm just really interested to see who that's going to be, because it's just so different now. There's so many choices.
Exactly. And because the whole business has changed so much.
Yeah.
Even if you're very successful now, like 5-10 years from now. For example, the old singer from Nightwish now, she's a nurse.
Really?
Yeah. After she quit Nightwish, she went to study, I guess that, and she's a nurse. Oh, she also has a band now with the ex-guitar player from Sonata Arctica, Jani Liimatainen. They have a band called Dark Element, but she has a real day job also.
Yeah.
Imagine, come on, that band is playing arenas.
Yeah.
You were there, like, I think being a musician, it's very different.
Like, have you been able to see that shift, like, from sort of album to album as you've been going along? Like, have you noticed how that's changed things for your band?
Well, of course, we are very privileged to be full-time musicians. We are, I dare to say, barely making it to be full-time musicians, because, of course, if we would all have normal day jobs, this amount of touring would not be possible.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's easier or harder to do that now?
Harder, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, for folk metal, there was a really big hype back in... it started, like, the little bit buzz in Europe, like 2004, 2005, 2006. And it really peaked, like, 2008, 2009. And then there were shitloads of bands coming to this genre. But the way I see it, certain people kind of overdid it. They had these, like, tours where you had, like, only pagan, folk, battle, whatever metal bands. And they overdid it for, like, twice a year in Europe and twice a year in States and something. And if you only have a handful of bands and no new bands coming to that genre, it just didn't... That was not smart, the way I see it. It was oversaturated.
Oversaturated.
Yeah. But I also said it like 10 years ago, because that you could see that, and if you just check the history of metal, all the metal genres, starting from thrash, death, black, power, you know, there's a peak and then it comes down, and kind of the strongest will survive.
Yeah.
And because there are still like very legendary thrash bands and black metal bands who are still there, but for many bands it was not possible anymore to continue or continue on a kind of professional level.
Well, thrash is a great example in particular, I feel like, because that's just not a super popular genre anymore. And like, if you're Slayer, then you're Slayer and you're fine. But if you're not Slayer, then it's a hard gig. Yeah. So are you seeing that somewhat with folk metal?
Absolutely. And yeah, that's what I said like 10 years ago, that folk metal will suffer the same fate. Absolutely. Yeah. And
I mean, I've even noticed in like the past 2 years, especially, like I get probably hundreds of emails a day with like new bands to listen to, new albums, things to check out. And past 2 years, there's been very little folk metal. Like maybe like 1 or 2 bands a year that I feel like are worth covering where they're good enough.
That's the thing. What folk metal would have needed would have been kind of the second wave, like in a way, if I could say like that way. Some band who would have really like wiped the floor with all the old bands like us. Like somebody would have come there and take the elements from that and combine it with something that would have been more accepted with a wider audience. I guess that would have been the thing. Like maybe Dimmu Borgir did it with black metal. Yeah. Kinda. That's how it goes. But weird thing is, since 2009, like certain promoters, booking agency, they started like saying like it's going down and nobody's interested about it anymore. But for us, it's been going up slowly.
Well, luckily, I feel like you all, ENSIFERUM was lucky enough to get into it when it was kind of like really big. Like,
yes, where we were one of the oldest bands. So
it's like you and Amon Amarth. When I think of like the big folk metal bands, the first 2 that come to mind are Amon Amarth and ENSIFERUM. And I know that Amon Amarth even...
Well, they're more death metal.
Yeah, they're more melodic death metal. Yeah. But I still think of them in that category just because of
the lyrics. Yeah,
and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing also with folk metal, because the folk aspect can mean so many things.
Yeah, that's true.
Compared to like some other genres, you can instantly hear, come on, this is rockabilly. You can hear that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But with folk metal, you can have, for some people, Amon Amarth is still there, even though it's just melodic death metal, but because of the lyrical themes. And then you have bands like Korpiklaani, who have like violin and accordion on stage, and that's like literally folk.
Have you heard Panopticon?
No.
So this is a good example too of just how different it can get. So there's a band, they're originally, it's really just one guy mostly, who's kind of the mastermind, but he has a whole band now. He's out of Kentucky.
Okay.
And it's like a black folk metal band, but it's based on American folk music. So it's got like this kind of bluegrass touch to it, and they're really good. I would encourage you to check them out. Just going along with what you're saying about how folk metal can mean so many different things, and 2 bands can sound completely different.
Exactly, and a band like Moonsorrow is also considered in the same genre, even though it's closer to Bathory or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly what I mean, what this genre needs. Like, you take some elements that work and then you add some new twist.
Yeah, do something different instead of just rehashing it. Have you heard of Nocturnal Mortem?
No,
They're
sorry.
out of Ukraine. Another one you should check out. They've had some controversy in their past, but they've kind of moved on from that. Their last 2 albums were really great.
Okay. But on the other hand, where I was going as from like a musician point of view, of course, you cannot like calculate like, okay, let's take this and this will be like a very successful band. Of course, it doesn't work like that. Of course, you need to write music that you like, that comes out naturally. And especially in the beginning of the band's career, it's very natural that you can hear the bands that have influenced you. But I think after an album or 2, there really should be like your own direction a bit already. But I think it happens naturally or it doesn't happen. But in the end, you shouldn't think from the music business point of view. You should just create music. Yeah. And good things will happen if
people like it. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Exactly. But I really don't think you can do it like. Well, maybe you can. I don't know. But like people who make pop songs, they really, I don't want to say they use like algorithms, but they
do. They totally do. Not all of them.
Yeah, because I have friends and I even recorded bass lines for some radio producers, guys who produce music for the radio, and it's really like this one guy actually said it in like very top-notch producer in Finland. He said, like if you take a carpenter and ask a carpenter to make a what do you call it, stool. You know, he can always make that. And the same for him, you know, he can always make a song like that. Give him 30 minutes and he can make you a song. So they have this kind of view to creating music. So it's really just using all the hooks that work and have all the cliches. And
well, I'm always most impressed by bands that are able to take those really more accessible elements, those hooks and everything to draw people in, but then they're able to like weave it into a more complex arrangement.
That's the tricky part. To actually make
that balance.
Well, kind of, if I dare to say, a little bit progressive music, but so that it's something that mainstream people would listen to. That's like, well, good example of this kind of song that's really not like a normal 3.5 minutes, like A, B, A, B, C, and a double chorus in the end, would be Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah. Come on, imagine that song.
And it's super popular. So
That is
a great example of a song that's like, I mean, it's operatic. Like, it's basically a little mini musical.
Yeah.
And it became hugely popular. It's like, that's like the striking the lightning.
Yeah, but that's a real like 1 in a billion song.
Yeah. But I feel like I have heard your band though kind of shift and change things from album to album, which is nice. Like there's always that core sound that's there. But like for me, and maybe you feel differently, but I feel like the last album, not this most recent one, but the one before that felt more kind of progressive and grandiose and kind of more of the folk instrumentation, whereas the latest one just felt kind of more stripped back to basics. And I appreciated that actually. Like it just felt very much aligned with kind of the first 2 or 3 albums, really, for me. But
Absolutely.
I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, for me, the last 2 albums, One Man Army and Two Paths, they're like twins. The way I feel it, that for me, ENSIFERUM is absolutely a live band. You know, I love writing new music. I love being in studio. I love producing stuff and recording things, but
You'd rather be on stage.
I'd rather be on stage. And there's certain kind of energy. Again, I don't want to sound like hippish because I'm not. But I don't know any other word, but that energy, we want to capture that live energy and have that on an album because it's so different to be like sweaty and screaming your lungs out and have people screaming and there's sweat and blood and vomit and cum and flying and
there's a give and take with the audience.
Exactly.
Instead of being in a cold studio.
Yeah, then you go in
with the
studio and you're in
microphone.
your sweatpants and you're playing like have a nice hot chocolate there, and it's so far from the ass-kicking mood. And this is what
it feels like you almost have to like kind of act in that situation because you want that same energy and vibe, but you're kind of having to bring it out in a different way.
Exactly, and that's why on One Man Army, not the last one, but the previous before that, we decided, okay, that's the goal. When we talked with the recording producer guy, Anssi Kippo, who has also recorded like Children Bottom's old stuff, that we want to have an album that's very tight, no triggers and stuff, no unnecessary editing, and it needs to sound like a very tight live album. And he really dig the idea. And on Two Paths, the latest album, we kind of took it even further. When we were recording drums, whole band was playing, and drums, bass, rhythm guitars were recorded on analog tape, and there are songs where it's just one take from the beginning until end, and all the drums and basses, it's just one take, like really old school. And I think that gave really, like you said, like back to the roots feeling for this album.
Was that different from the approach on One Man Army?
Well, we kind of did it already on One Man Army. We kind of started the idea was there, but I think on Two Paths we were even more
because I do feel like the production on Two Paths just sounds different.
Yeah.
Like, just on that album.
Yeah.
And again, it just feels more. I don't know how to describe it, but I remember like not being sure how I was going to feel about it, but I put it on and I was like, this is there was that energy and that just. I don't know. Whatever you did, it worked. So
yeah, we wanted it to sound like the actual band is playing, and actually since From Afar album 2009, 10 years ago, on that one we had first time ever the like orchestrations and big choirs, and there were literally 1,000 track on certain parts of certain songs, and that's like stupid. Because human ear, you cannot hear that many details. It's just really waste of beautiful arrangement. since then we've been cutting down the amount of tracks, and I don't think we even broke 100 tracks on 2 pads. Yeah, I think we were closer to like 50 tracks max. So we had the analog tape, drums, bass, rhythm guitars, then we ran out of tracks. And everything else was recorded on computer, and then everything were synced, the tape and the computer, and then everything was mixed and mastered to tape to get like as warm analog sound as possible. But yeah, after the session, Anssi, the recorder producer guy, he called us, "Hey, I bought another machine, so now we have 48 tracks. So next album we can make completely analog." So let's see, because I have to say that was something we tried to achieve with Monument Army and 2 pads, and the way I see it, now we achieved it. And there's no point to keep repeating what you already did.
Yeah.
So we haven't talked that much about the production of the new album. We already are writing the new songs. I think we have like 4 or 5 raw songs already.
Okay.
But I think we might go to a little bit different direction. I'm not quite sure yet, but that's just how I feel. Like
keep things fresh.
Yeah, exactly. Because I really like it that shit.
That's all right. I've taken up enough of your time already. But
well, anyway, if I get a little bit closer there, should be hearing. What I really like about...
I'm gonna get a copyright strike now for that music.
Yeah, probably.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I like when a band can kind of reinvent itself in a way. I mean, that you can recognize the band, but every album has its own unique sound. Like, well, Iron Maiden is one of my all-time favorite bands. I grew up with that. Like, you can instantly hear if the song is from Killers or Power Slave or Seventh Son or Somewhere in Time album. You can hear it instantly from the sound, from the production, but you can still hear that, hey, this is Iron Maiden. And that's what I really respect and I like a lot.
Well, I'm excited to hear what comes out next, and I really did enjoy the last time. I'm excited to see you all get on stage too. This is my first time seeing you all on stage, actually. I'm excited to see Septicflesh as well.
Yeah, definitely check them out.
Hope you get a chance to see them too.
Yeah. Well, one problem, what actually I meant to answer in the beginning when you were asking, like, what do I do? Because we also need to work, so to say, in Europe. And the time difference is now like 10 hours.
Yeah.
So it's always you kind of need to work in the 2 different time zones.
Yeah.
So that also takes some time every day.
Well, that's a challenge. Well,
it's been my pleasure.
Appreciate you doing this. Yeah,
Thank you.
My pleasure as well. Thank you so much.
So that was it for the interview. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed talking with Sami. They put on an excellent show, playing many classics like Twilight Tavern, and also one of my personal favorites, Two of Spades, and even closed with a crowd-pleasing cover of Sweet Child of Mine, which was very unexpected, but also quite appreciated from all of us singing along. Both Septicflesh and Arsis were also excellent, and Spyros was cool enough to actually hang out with the fans by the tour buses afterwards. And in case you were wondering, should I bother buying tickets to see any of these amazing bands, it's a resounding yes. They all were very much worth the ticket price, and I would see them again in a second. Another great show at the Hawthorne Theater. And I also wanted to shout out the cool people I met from across the board, but including the PDX Deathbusters social group. I spoke with the kind of lead person there, JP, and they can be found on Facebook. So for you in the Portland area who are looking for social gatherings of fellow metalheads, join that group and check them out. I definitely did. As always, if you enjoy the content, be sure to subscribe. We are available on iTunes Podcast, CastBox, YouTube, and BitChute. And whichever you choose, be sure to like, rate, and comment. And I encourage you to also subscribe to the YouTube channel regardless, as I have been dropping some other content there, like track premieres, quick reactions, and other things. If you want to take that extra step to help support my endeavors, consider donating $1 a month to our Patreon. But that'll do it for this week. I will see you in the trenches.